So I'm actually coming in to use the CVAC as well today. I do it every week. I love it. I really feel a difference in my sleep, in my inflammation, in my energy for my workouts. And it's just, I know my cells are working hard, but I'm just sitting there. So why don't we talk about what the CVAC pod is doing and then how to enhance it?
Awesome. So CVAC stands for cyclic variations in adaptive conditioning. A lot of times when people look at the pod, they think hyperbaric chamber, right? Hyperbaric has been around for a long time, and there's some pretty significant differences between hyperbaric and CVAC. So hyperbaric, because that's what most people are familiar with, puts you in a high pressure environment. So you basically lay in a chamber and they take you to a certain atmosphere. It takes a little while to get there, and then they leave you there for an hour to 2 hours. During that time, your body is being flooded with oxygen, which hyperbaric obviously has its space. I mean, wound healing, burns, there's some stroke applications, but our bodies are so smart that when they are getting an outsourced, whether it be hormone or oxygen, they stop producing because they're I don't have to work on that and produce more red blood cells. I can actually just lay here and get the oxygen. So on a human level, like a physiological level, your body almost becomes lazy because it's relying on that. Where CVAC is a super dynamic experience. So again, hyperbaric will take you to that atmosphere and leave you there. It's very static, right? CVAC is low pressure, okay? And then within a 20-minute session, and most people are sitting in the pod for an hour, a couple times a week, but a 20-minute session, you can feel up to 300 to 500 pressure changes. So it is constantly moving up and down. The best way to visualize it, and I've said it so many times and we probably have all heard, but literally if you take an empty plastic water bottle in there with you with the lid on, you will see it move. It's expanding and contracting. That's happening to every single cell in your body. We have about 37 trillion cells, I mean, give or take. And each one of those cells is basically responsible for our optimal health, right? And so when you are actually allowing every single cell to work out, what happens when you work out? You're getting rid of waste, you're getting rid of toxins. CVAC is helping to mitigate oxidative stress. You're just sitting there, it's increasing the red blood cells. So when you or your body is in a high altitude environment, your body, there's less oxygen molecules is basically what happens, but your body innately knows, oh geez, I need to produce more red blood cells. So what the CVAC's doing compared to what hyperbaric's doing, it's making your body produce more oxygen. We know that certain diseases don't like oxygen, right? So if you can get to the highest levels that is natural for your body, which is what CVAC does, it helps with that greatly. And then those pressure changes, why I think CVAC is so profound is really in those pressure changes to really clean the slate, if you will. Like the lower sessions, CVAC goes anywhere from 3,600 feet altitude. Our pods actually go up to almost 27,000 feet altitude. We're the only facility in the world that actually has those levels. Most of the other facilities will go up to 22,500 feet, which is higher than base camp of Mount Everest, but higher is not better. And that is something when we're working with professional athletes that I really try to enforce, because the lower sessions within that time, it takes less time to go up and down. So you actually have more pressure changes on the lower, and that is what is helping to mitigate the oxidative stress. That's what's getting rid of inflammation, waste, and toxins. And so that's why personally, when I started to use the CVAC, just the first time I used it, obviously my rheumatoid arthritis diagnosis didn't go away after one session, but that first time, this might be TMI, but it happens with pretty much everyone that uses CVAC, I noticed a different smells coming out of me. So your urine might smell and look different. Other things might happen. That's the body responding that fast, adapting that fast, and cleaning the slate and getting rid of what's not supposed to be in there. Something that why you probably really respond and resonate with the CVAC is because it's inducing mitochondrial biogenesis. So we think, especially as we're getting older, or if we have specific diagnoses, obviously our mitochondria, which are the batteries to our cells, become dysfunctional. Okay. They're not operating on all cylinders. Well, CVAC's actually helping to make brand new mitochondria. And in your 37 trillion cells or so, those cells can each contain thousands of mitochondria. Well, if they're mainly dysfunctioning, that's a big problem. So CVAC is cleaning the slate to make new, good mitochondria. And also, there's been some really small studies showing that people who use CVAC have a 16 times greater endogenous stem cell production. As we talk about stem cells all the time, endogenous stem cells is a little different than pluripotent, which is what we're used to talking to. But, stem cells are all about regeneration. And so as we age, that is something that kind of goes dormant. CVAC is actually initiating those as well.
So I want to just emphasize, because we're going to get into at the end, I'll talk more detail about the supplements to enhance these technologies as well. I described the cell. You've got the brain of the cell, which is the cell membrane, and you need a good value of iodine and fat. So an iodolipid value that every cell membrane has to let those toxins out and the nutrients in. And then you also need iodine. And this is where I always talk about the acceleradine iodine, so important for our cellular health, because we are only as healthy as our cells. It increases that ATP in the mitochondria. So you've got the powerhouses of the cells working and doing their energy, but then you're helping flush the toxins out, which also allows room for those nutrients to get in. One of the biggest complaints over the last few years is that unexplained weight gain, unexplained inflammation. Well, your fat cells are just overstuffed. They're overstuffed from these toxins that we're breathing in from the air, the food, the water, and these cells that are fat cells that you think are from cookies and brownies are actually from just these toxins that are filling them up. So we need to get those toxins out. So the combination of iodine with CVAC is really flushing those cells out, boosting that mitochondrial health, reducing the inflammation, and you're just getting a bigger impact of that treatment. Now, you like to add in other technologies on top of the CVAC.
I do. And CVAC is actually a difficult technology to stack. Okay. So, we have other modalities that we can stack up to 4 or 5 different technologies all at the same time, all working within different systems of the body on a cellular level. But because you're enclosed in a CVAC pod and it's pressurized, you can't have cords going in and out and anything like that. So recently we've been working with a lot of people with different neurological diagnoses, and I know we're not going to talk specific diagnoses or disease states because we can't, but what we have found, so CVAC is very piezoelectric. It's basically simulating on a cellular level, on a physiological level, the same thing that intense exercise does, okay? Which that's why it is affecting the cellular membranes. I mean, we know we have a way to quantify that here by getting our phase angle analysis, and we can get the baselines, and we can see over the years a marker that typically only goes down as we age. People that are coming here, including yourself, not only are we maintaining that integrity of that phase angle, but then it starts ticking up. And that is true age reversal on a cellular level. But what we've found that expedites it, so most of us, you and I, both included, have a PEMF, our PEMF device at home. In fact, 95% of our clients do. And so everyone's doing that in the morning. And about 7 years ago, when I brought the PEMF in, that's the immediate thing that I noticed was, oh my gosh, people are responding to CVAC so much faster because now look, their cells are repelling each other. They're not clumped together. It is starting to initiate the increase in blood flow on a capillary level. Oxygenation is being increased by 30%. So of course they're going to respond to CVAC faster. And I always thought, gosh, wouldn't it be neat to be able to stack the beamer in with the CVAC? But all of the cords and the computer and everything would be compromised. And, to ruin a $6,000 device, I wasn't willing to test that. And so, we always did it before. Well, now there's a technology that we've been using, especially with these neurological diagnoses, that raises the voltage of cells in conjunction with what CVAC's doing. So that is another component that we have learned over the years. Actually, Dr. Jerry Tennant wrote a book about it, Healing is Voltage. voltage. We are electric beings, and every single one of our trillions of cells has a measurement of voltage. So on average, if we are healthy individuals, we are lucky if the average voltage of our cells is 25 millivolts. When that voltage drops below 20, that's when disease starts happening. We actually work with a couple practitioners here in house that are able to get a baseline, like I am, on the cellular integrity and see where the phase angle is and the inflammation levels are. They're able to get a baseline of where someone's average cellular voltage is. It's pretty interesting. It takes about an hour. They go through history, they test different areas of the body. And what we're seeing in people, I will share my own personal story. I mean, you got to think, I've been doing this for 15 years. My diagnosis is in remission. Cellular voltage wise, it's something that drops with age as well. You would think I would have been very high, right? I actually, when I initially tested before we started to use this new technology in the CVAC pod, I was about right at 20. And I was like, oh my gosh, well, come to find out, that's actually high compared to most people. Most people are averaging around 14, 13. If they have a diagnosis like cancer, they're like 6 or 2. It's
Wow.
crazy. So what I did when I saw that is like, okay, I'm going to do we call it the recharge here. And it's basically electrodes that I hold in my hands and I put on my feet. And then we administer specific frequencies that are increasing cellular voltage throughout the body. And so in that hour CVAC or 45-minute CVAC session, I'm holding that the whole time. Well, within about 3 weeks, we retested and my cellular voltage on average went up to 31.
Wow.
Isn't that, I know, it was significant. And so everyone that's coming in, especially with these neurological diagnoses, they're compromised on voltage. Your body cannot heal or regulate unless you have enough energy to do so, no matter what. So yes, the mitochondria are important, but that cellular membrane, like you were just referring to, has that measurement of voltage. So that is what we've actually seen. The different diagnoses start reversing, because once you get all of those things lined up on that cellular level, the body just kicks in and does what it's supposed to do. So really right now, that's one of my favorite stacks. No one else is doing it anywhere in the United States either. So we're pretty proud of, it's God, he, he brings people into our lives. We see what they need. And it's like, hey, time is money and time is so valuable. What can we do at the same time? So, and just to tell you, when people come in and they are super compromised, the CVAC added with the recharge, every single person's voltage has increased. There has not been one person that hasn't. So it is definitely something that's been proven and is very, very efficient. So it's something I want you to do. Now, Sara, I know, because Sara, she comes in and she is working, she is multitasking, and the CVAC pod, she's on her computer, so she can't hold, but you can actually just do your feet.
I'll do it today.
Hey,
Yeah, for
good.
sure. I mean, it really comes back to the fact that the body's the miracle, right? And you need to just give your body the energy. And people don't understand that, like cancer cells, for instance, are the weak cells in the body. They're not the strong cells that are overtaking. It's that the immune system is shut down and your body's fighting something over here, so it can't take care of this over here. It's when you give those cells the energy, your body will take care of the rest. Same with, brain health. And we can just be talking about just brain fog, not like a serious chronic disease, headaches. Whenever I was having my blurred vision, and I've talked a lot about the fact that my blurred vision was connected to my liver, which I'm super psyched that I found answers for that. But the one thing that would give me temporary relief was the CVAC pod. It was like a no-brainer. If I was really suffering that day, I would go in and it would clear my vision and any headache would lift because of the inflammation in my brain was going down.